So a ceasefire deal has been made in regards to Israel and Palestine, and this came a couple days ago on the 8th, where Donald Trump announced that Hamas and Israel had agreed to the first phase of his plan for a ceasefire in the war on Gaza and an exchange of captives. This is what it says here in this Al Jazeera article, which we're going to read a good chunk of. I am very proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan, the US president wrote on his Truth Social platform on Wednesday. All the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel withdrew their troops to an agreed upon line. Now, a lot of reactions have obviously come out of this. For the most part, I think that people are just generally happy that a deal has been made at all, because with this deal being made, there's the potential for more lives to be spared. But there is also a very reasonable level of doubt that is coming from the pro-Palestinian side, because as Israel has shown time and time again from this whole genocide, they are more than willing to just ignore ceasefires and peaceful deals and shit like that, and they will just bomb whoever, whatever they want. They don't care. So people, they are glad that there's some agreement, but overall, everyone's a bit skeptical, and you can't really blame them. Now, what the deal entices, as it's already been, said here, what Donald Trump said about it, is that all the hostages will be released very soon. This also includes prisoners who are in Israel, Palestinian prisoners, and Israel is going to withdraw their troops. Now, this part, I think, is more than likely like a phase 2 part of it, because what is being discussed now is the prisoner exchange, which at the time of this recording is supposed to happen like tomorrow morning, or at least in the coming hours of me recording this video. It could already be done by the time this video is released. I don't know how well that's going to work out, but this speculation, this doubt that this is really going to hold up doesn't come out of nowhere, because Israel has continued to attack since this deal has been made. And while, again, the prisoner exchange has not happened, usually when it comes to deals like this, you're not supposed to keep firing. You're supposed to, be peaceful. That's what a peace plan is supposed to entice. And this really just comes out of Israel's ego, where they feel like just because a peace deal is made, that doesn't mean that they can't stop bombing. They have to. They can't stop. Anytime there's at least like some progress of them not getting to kill as many people as they want to, they had to keep killing people. Even as the talks progressed on Wednesday, Israel continued its attacks on Gaza. At least 8 Palestinians were killed across Gaza over the previous 24 hours, the Palestinian Health Ministry said on Wednesday. At least 61 others were injured in attacks, it said. And at the time of this recording, there's also a journalist who was shot dead, and there were plenty of other people who were killed since this deal. I believe in like this live update, there was even mention of someone who was also shot. Yeah, 2 different people. One just a average citizen from the looks of it, and the other a journalist. So yeah, their whole thing of like wanting to find peace with Palestine and Hamas, it feels way more like this is a US force plan that Hamas agreed to, and that Israel is just having to go along with, because I think this deal really just comes out of the fact that Donald Trump is kind of desperate to really find a W when it comes to public reception. And also, like he said during his campaign trail, that he wants to seem like the peaceful president, the president of peace, despite, renaming the Department of Defense to the War Department. Yeah, very peaceful, very peaceful sounding name. But I think this is really coming out of the fact that he is just really desperate to seem like, a peaceful little dove that ends wars. He wants to add to his wars that have ended stats, even though those are very inflated. So it seems like this is just Israel kind of getting dragged along the way, because here's the thing. This is something that could have always happened with like Joe Biden. If Joe Biden just showed force against Israel and was just like, you're agreeing to a fucking deal, this would have been made. This is not that different of a deal from what has been presented time and time again. But because we had a staunch Zionist president, I mean, we still do, don't get me wrong. Donald Trump is still very much a staunch Zionist. He just doesn't like that this is impacting his image. He doesn't like how this makes him look, the fact that he isn't able to get a deal done. So I feel like he definitely was trying to, very much just scoot along and just get whatever deal he could have gotten done. And with this one, as long as Hamas agrees, I think that's really all that matters. I'm glad that there seems to be some deal being made, but again, I just don't have any faith in Israel that they will hold up their side of the deal, because it doesn't seem like they wanted to do this deal. Again, this is a deal that they could have done on October 9th. This is a deal that they could have done way back in 2023, but they didn't. It's not that different from a deal that has always been presented in these negotiations. Gaza's government media office said in a statement on Wednesday that Israel carried out 271 aerial and artillery strikes over the past 5 days, despite calls from the US to stop the bombardment. The attacks targeted densely populated areas and shelters for displaced people across the enclave, killing 126 civilians, including women and children, with 75 of them in Gaza City alone. Al Jazeera's Tariq Abu Assoum, reporting from central Gaza's Zayabda, said the situation on the ground looks extremely bleak as Israeli drones are still targeting residential buildings, particularly in Gaza City. Civilians have said the scale of bombardment sounds less intense in comparison with the days preceding the onset of current round negotiations. They say that might be a sign that mediators are exerting further pressure on Israel to at least mitigate the scale of its bombardments on Gaza for one reason. It's to allow for Hamas fighters to retrieve bodies of Israel captives as part of the first phase of the ceasefire deal. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has warned that just 14 of Gaza's 36 hospitals are particularly functioning, and only a third of 176 primary care facilities work. It's just hard to really believe that they're going to go through with this just because they haven't stopped. Like, people are still dying, they're still targeting individuals. It's hard to really believe, but it is great to see Palestinians having a moment of just joy that this might come to an end. And here's the thing, it's not like they think that this is like going to truly be the end of it. I think they're just happy that they have like a moment to just breathe and not have to worry about being bombarded. But they still do. And that's the crazy thing about this. Now, we'll see where this goes. Again, I'm recording this on Sunday. There's supposed to be a summit in Egypt on Monday that is going to go over this deal, go more in detail, I feel. And we'll have to see where that leads to. But again, if the hostage deal ends up being a shit show, then I don't know what... I mean, I kind of do. I feel like we all kind of do. Israel is just going to continue doing what they're doing until Israel is dissolved as a nation, until there is no apartheid state, until there is a world where Palestinians have self-determination. This isn't going to end, because unless like major changes are made, not just a prisoner exchange and not just, oh, we're going back to old ways, but they just can't be as involved anymore, that this is just going to be a repeat. This is going to be constant. The only difference is that when Israel does it in the future, well, more people will have their eyes on it because more people are made aware of the situation. They're not going to be able to, frame this as a war. But we'll just have to wait and see. There's also, ports. I was planning on watching this, but we'll probably just skip it. But I do want to, show some of the celebrations that have been taking place in Gaza since ceasefire was announced.
Well, celebrations have erupted in Khan Yunis in Gaza. Palestinians are in the streets chanting and dancing in response to the announcement that a ceasefire has now been agreed, and the news is spreading across the Strip, where cheering can be heard at many of the displacement camps. Well, it's still in the early hours of the morning in Gaza, where Palestinians are beginning to wake up to the announcement that a ceasefire...
And it's not like these people, the Palestinians don't understand that there is a good chance that this isn't going to follow through. That this isn't going to be the end of the terror that they face on a regular basis. I think they're just happy that just for a moment there seems like a chance that they won't have to worry about that stuff as much as they usually do. Because even before October 7th, even before this quote-unquote war began, It's not like being a Palestinian was exactly easy. It's not like being a part of an apartheid state was necessarily, the bee's knees. So while people can be skeptical of this deal, and for rightful reasons, I do think it is important to at least be somewhat happy that there is at least some, again, I'm using like light language. I do think it's good that like there is a chance that a peaceful deal can be made. But like peace is never going to truly come until the apartheid ends, Israel dissolves entirely, and the people there can be like deprogrammized to like the genocidal rhetoric that they have been taught for most of their entire lives in Israel, and they can just live peacefully along Palestinians and they'll have self-determination. Like, I feel like that's the only way this stuff really ends, because like if you still have this country that feels like it's okay to essentially just bomb whoever they want, filled with civilians who cheer that shit on, then that ain't exactly a country that is going to remain peaceful. Like, Israel is a war machine. It loves to bomb, it loves to attack. It just does. They don't care. That's why they killed so many negotiators. You don't seek out peace if you're constantly killing negotiators who want to try to make peace. It's so insane.
Has been agreed. Scenes of jubilation are being filmed by Palestinian journalists as relief at the thought of an end to the violence spreads. Let's go back to Hani Mahmoud. He's live for us from Al Zaweda, that's in central Gaza. Hani, we've been talking to you throughout the night. We've been looking at those scenes of jubilation. What's the feeling in Gaza now?
Well, Darren, throughout the day, again, a lot of people were expressing their hopes, but they were very cautious about what they expressed, what they shared with us. They were often shared that one thread that there is an anxiety on the rise. They would feel that this might be a fragile ceasefire agreement, similar to the past one, and will not fulfill what they aspire for. But it does seem this time it's a little bit different. The way it's been done, the way it has been going through, very aggressive.
I will say, like, this one does... I'm conflicted about this, because for the most part, I'm skeptical, because like this is the Trump administration. This is really only coming out of ego, but maybe that ego would be good in this circumstance, just because like I don't want this to continue. I don't know who would, unless you're Israeli. And even then, most Israelis just like this deal being done because the hostages get to come back. But like, once those hostages are back, it's not like Israelis are going to continue critiquing the war. They like this. They're in support of this. It's very obvious just from like Israeli reactions that they're just going along with it because, the boss called and was like, hey, you need to get this done. And when, I don't know, to me, I feel like what's going to happen is that this deal will be done. Maybe it will be fulfilled fully. We'll see. But then if it does, once the eyes start to turn away from the whole situation, once, the fire is calmed down and nobody's really talking about this, it's just going to continue. They're just going to find whatever excuse they can to exterminate, to, genociding the rest of them. And who knows, maybe people still care at this point. I feel like obviously, like, more people know about Israel-Palestine than a lot of people did before October 7th. And that's good. This is just my speculation. This is my fear. Because, like, it's very obvious that Israel is just getting dragged along into this. And even though this is being done to serve Trump's ego, at some point, I just don't think he's going to care about this anymore, like he does with most shit. And the bombing is just going to continue. Like, it sucks that this entire deal is just done because of one guy's ego who just wants to seem like a peaceful little dove. And it also sucks that, like, this could have been done the entire time. We have watched, essentially, 2 years. We're going into the third one of straight genocide. Of straight, like, just children being slaughtered. Women, children, innocent civilians. Or just people, and even then, like, people who are just trying to fight for their own independence get completely slaughtered. And this could have been done, like, not that long into that. It's just, oh God, Democrats just don't have a fucking spine. They don't. They only recently developed one because of the government shutdown, and even then it's not like that much. They're just like refusing to reopen the government until, Republicans agree not to cut Medicare, and even then they could have stopped it beforehand by not agreeing to, pass the big beautiful bill, but whatever. 2023, the Democrats showed why they were not going to win the election, because they just showed to the American public as a whole that they did not have a fucking spine. They were willing to excuse genocide and just be completely wishy-washy on almost every single fucking issue there is. We allowed, and there's also like Kamala Harris's book that came out recently, which said that like Biden's team was the main part as to why they were losing and why they were so shitty on Palestine. But then like you see her trying to like destroy protesters who like speak up at her events, and she's just like, but Trump's doing this worse. It's like, you guys were literally there when it was just as bad. Like, this is not an issue where you could say that like Trump handled it worse. It's still awful, do not get me wrong, but like, she was the vice president of an administration that just let Israel do whatever it wanted. They did not fight back at all. And again, and this is not me saying like, oh, Trump is better in this case. Obviously, like, I mean, here's the thing, a deal got made, at the very least. A deal was made. And I still don't have any hope it's going to hold up, but at least there's something. It just sucks that it's coming out of his fucking ego. Like, he just doesn't want to seem like he's doing a bad job at this. I don't fucking know where this goes. I'm trying to be hopeful, but like everything is telling me not to be. And I think that's fair. I think that's extremely fair. I'm trying to hope for the best. You always need to remain hopeful during these times because, being skeptical is good. It means you have like some survival instinct. But like, you do need to be hopeful in these instances that things can be better, because then what's the point if they don't? And it's definitely hard to do that when you're constantly seeing people being slaughtered left, right on your timeline. But like, I want to be hopeful. I want to be as hopeful as I can, but like, at some point you just gotta be really real about these situations. So yeah, the ceasefire isn't exactly holding up very well. Israel is still killing people by the handfuls. They are also restricting aid into Gaza. They refuse to open the Rafah gateway. They're just essentially doing what they were doing beforehand. Except now they're just saying, well, we did a ceasefire. Well, we got, our people back. So that's fine. It should be no surprise. This is the thing. Like what I stated in the video, I was hoping there would at least be some pushback from the US, but as we see, I don't think they care. All I think they cared about was saying that they got a ceasefire deal done, because they're not pushing back against Israel for blatantly breaking the ceasefire, for not really following through on it in any meaningful way, and anything downplaying what was agreed upon. And I think it's very clear that they just wanted to be able to say like, oh, we got the ceasefire done, even though we really didn't. So yeah, that's essentially what happened. It didn't live through. And if you see, people in mainstream media try to go with this narrative of like, oh, he worked out the peace deal, Trump got the peace done. Here's the thing, even in the video, I said I would give them credit where credit is due. If they got this done, that's good. But obviously, as we are seeing right now, it's not following through to the degree that it was followed upon, and the US has no real motive. They're obviously not showing any pushback against Israel. They're just allowing them to do this because they got what they wanted out of the deal. They just wanted to say they were able to get it done, even if it means that people are still being murdered. Like, the only pushback they offered to this scenario was when Hamas was executing gang members who were working alongside Israel in Gaza for stealing aid from Palestinians. Like, all those reports of Israel saying that Hamas was stealing aid to redistribute it for a higher price to the civilians wasn't happening. It was happening with gangs in Gaza that Israel had teamed up with. And that's why those executions were happening. And the only thing that the United States has really spoke on is Trump being like, you shouldn't be doing that, even though but that's it. That's the only thing they really spoke on, not on the, aid not coming through, not on any of the promises being kept to a serious degree. Like, the genocide's still going on. They can say they made a peace deal all they want. They can sign whatever piece of paper they want, it's still going on. They're not keeping up with their deal. So yeah, it's a failure on all fronts. But again, that's all I really had to say. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see other videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to hear me talk about a lot more nerdy subjects such as anime, comic books, video games, movies, and even pro wrestling, you can check out my second channel, The Fruit Basket. And if you would like to see me play video games, I have a channel called FruitySaur Gaming where you can check out those videos there. Anyways, that's all I have for today, and I'll see you all next time.